There are some notable lighthouses that appear in World of Warcraft, and today we are going to have a look at the top 10 pointless lighthouses in World of Warcraft. Yes, we're going to have a look at more pointless things. So yeah, let's have a look at those pointless lighthouses.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists out of pointless things. Why are we flying by this pointless statue in Booty Bay? Because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 is the Port of Zemland Lighthouse, which is actually a broken lighthouse in Voldoon. That's why I decided to put it at number 10, since it's not actually working.
Very pointless.
But it is still really cool. I didn't even know this lighthouse was here until I was flying around and I was like, dude, is that a lighthouse? And then I looked into the Port of Zemland, which is a large, ruined Zandalari port town on the southwestern coast of Voldoon, and it's a cursed place ruled over by Pirate King Zemland and his crew of the Eternal Damned. In ages past, the port was attacked by the
Zandalari
faithless
skeletons.
Sethrak, and Pirate King Zemland refused to allow Zandalari refugees onto his ships to escape the attack. And
that's actually really cool. There's also another backstory. Aren't those like cursed like pirates or something, right? They're like skeletons now, if I'm not mistaken. There's like a gang of skeletons and Zandalari trolls with a very cool looking skin. I wish they became an allied race or a customization option for the Zandalari trolls. They look so cool, those skeleton trolls.
Refused to allow Zandalari refugees onto his ships to escape the attack, and he ordered his crew to rally and defend the ports with their lives. However, when it became clear that the Sethrak were too many, Zemland instead gathered his crew on the Golden Isle and conducted a ritual with 3 magical idols to curse his crew into undead skeletons, forcing them to serve him for eternity. So, you know, he went a little far. But they had a really cool lighthouse. In fact, if you go inside, you can actually see there's like a ship, I don't want to say drawing, like a mosaic or a tile type thing. It's really cool. And I had no idea this was even in here. There's a troll just standing there guarding it, but it's awesome. And so really just for the aesthetic and the backstory of this lighthouse, I was like, you know what? This deserves to be on the list. So it goes at number 10. 9. Number 9 is the Farshire Lighthouse, and the Farshire Lighthouse is north of Valiant's Keep in the southwestern part of the Borean Tundra. The lighthouse stands there to warn ships of treacherous rocks and icebergs that choke the harbor, which you can see right there behind it. But there's actually a few things that I really...
You know, it's like interesting. I think this was the first lighthouse I ever saw in WoW, and I was like thinking this was so cool how there's like this light ray just going around like that. Like, it's actually working like a real lighthouse, and I just thought, wow, this was like so cool when I first saw it.
Really because like of this beam lighthouse. One of them is how bright the beam is compared to some of the other lighthouses we're going to be taking a look at.
You notice this immediately.
And I love the aesthetic of this lighthouse. It's just very kind of cold, and obviously we're in a tundra, right? But it's funny, back in the day, I used to make fun of the Borean Tundra and be like, oh, it's the boring tundra, right? Oh, this place sucks. But
because
after
no trees and
leveling through it again last year in Wrath of the Lich King Classic, I actually kind of enjoyed it. And maybe it's just because I've gotten older and I'm like more appreciative of these things. I don't know, my body feels like the Borean Tundra, man. Maybe that's what it is. I can relate to the Borean Tundra now more than I could back then. But overall, this lighthouse is really cool. A little bit outdated now, but it still holds up, and that's why it's number 9. 8. Number 8 is the Stormwind Lighthouse, and the Stormwind Lighthouse is unique in that
it's
one of the only lighthouses in the game that looks the way it does, and there's only a couple other lighthouses that can say that for themselves. It is a short distance from the mainland, northwest of the harbor itself, and it serves to guide the many ships into the harbor using its powerful light, which is perpetually shining, according to Wowpedia. But I actually think the Borean Tundra lighthouse light's a little bit stronger, you know? I mean, comparatively. The lighthouse is one of the key features of the harbor, and it's visible from almost all areas.
What actually bothers me here a little bit, like look closely now how the light beam goes. Now pay attention. So the light goes through the pillar, and it's like there's no object in between. Like it should disappear for a small moment, but it doesn't. Look, like it just shines through the pillar. Look.
Lighthouse light's a little bit stronger, you know? I mean, comparatively.
Here again.
The lighthouse is one of the key features of the harbor. It's visible from almost all areas of it, and it's sat empty for some time since the harbor has become much safer in recent years. However, a tombstone, supposedly that of a former keeper and whose inscription has faded over time, is present behind it. In truth, the bloodied crown of King Terranos Menethil is buried here, likely done so by the refugees of Lordaeron, or possibly Thoros Trollbane. So a little bit of fun lore for you there, but I mean, in terms of just, you know, aesthetic lighthouses and everything, I mean, it's a cool lighthouse, right? Again, it's a very unique lighthouse. I almost kind of can see a face in the lighthouse made by the windows, almost like a little like smirking face guy.
Oh, maybe it looks like a smiley. Yes, it looks like a smiley.
I do think this is a cool lighthouse. This used to be probably the best lighthouse in the game back in the day.
Yeah, eyes, nose, and mouth.
It's number 8. 7. Number 7 is the Tusk Isle Lighthouse, and the Tusk Isle is a small island in the Bay of Kings off the southern coast of Zandalar. The history is the Tusk Isle and the other ports in the Bay of Kings served as the ancient home of the Golden Fleet of Zandalar, one of the most powerful navies in Azeroth. At the outset of the war in Zandalar, part of the fleet was stationed at Tusk Isle, notably the flagship Resin's Claw. As part of a coup by Prophet Zul, the ships at Tusk Isle were taken over by mutineers aided by their Kautian Mogu allies. I did not say that correctly, probably. Zandalari, loyal to King Rastakhan, and members of the Horde quickly launched a campaign to reclaim the fleet in the Bay of Kings, and after cutting through Zul's followers on the island and dealing with a potent weapon on board Resin's Claw, they lit a blue signal flame on the Isle's watchtower to mark their victory.
Now,
here's the thing. They say it's a watchtower, but this is a lighthouse, okay? It made me go and look up what a...
Yeah, the thing is, yeah, he's right. Isn't a lighthouse a tower that's like emitting some sort of light so you can like see this from the far? It's usually at like the shore somewhere, right? Or like an island. Technically, like if you're looking up like what's the definition of a lighthouse, there would be one. Like he's right about that, right? Because there's a light on top, and if you're on a boat, you actually see this, because the point of lighthouses is usually like, that's what I heard also. I learned this in school. So lighthouses exist, especially back in the day, as a way for navigation. So if you are a captain of a ship and you are sailing somewhere and you want to find land, the lighthouse will tell you, oh, there's land. It's also a warning so you don't crash into anything. Because if it's cloudy, there are like fewer stars. The moon is maybe covered. So sometimes on especially cloudy weather, it's very dark at night. And lighthouses, they save ships and they tell you, oh, you are coming close to land, and here's soon you're at the port or something, right? So yeah, that's the purpose, and this kind of has a similar purpose now, right? So by definition, that would be a lighthouse. Yeah, I agree.
A lighthouse is, and a lighthouse is a tower or structure containing a beacon of light to warn or guide ships at sea.
Just what I said.
It looks like that's what it's doing, right? Like it's just a big tower with a light on top of it. It doesn't matter if it's a flame or not. So to me,
it's a form of light,
this is a lighthouse. Like it's a house structure tower, and it's got a light on it. To me, it's a lighthouse. Okay, and that's it. You know, this is a pointless series anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So that's why this is number 7. 6. Number 6 is the Theramore Lighthouse, and I picked the Theramore Lighthouse because of how much lore and history is kind of behind it. Because not only did Theramore get blown up, right, but we have Bab's Fizzletorque here, and this is one of the only places where you have a bunch of lighthouse quests. I mean, Bab Fizzletorque has the This Old Lighthouse quest, which is a reference to This Old House, and that same quest chain also takes you to Nat Pagal, and it has you fight a sea monster.
Looks a bit like the one in the Boring Tundra,
Babs
right?
also appears at the fall of Theramore, cowering at the lighthouse, and it's likely she survived the attack on Theramore Isle as she was far enough away from the explosion. Something cool that I learned while researching a lot of this, even though it doesn't really pertain to the lighthouse in particular, is...
And she was lucky, but I think she must be like traumatized from everything. Like she was cowering there even, right? Like she has like a mental shock from like the Theramore incident. And Jaina was forever changed after this. The lore is actually big about this. And also, like, that's the reason why she has, like, white hair, right, Jaina? Like, something happened there, and then she, yeah.
Explosion.
Wow.
Something cool that I learned while researching a lot of this, even though it doesn't really pertain to the lighthouse in particular, is that this whole area was going to be used for a Southern Barons warfront in Battle for Azeroth, where the Alliance would attack the Great Gate into Mulgore, but none of this was ever used, and the idea was scrapped for whatever reason, but I thought that was really cool. I'm glad that the Gate of Mulgore did not get attacked, though, personally, so that's why the Theramore Lighthouse is number 6. 5. Number 5 is the Gale Watch Lighthouse, which is the Gilneas Lighthouse,
one,
and it is a lighthouse situated on a rocky island in the northern reaches of Gilneas. There are several smashed boats lying in the sand on its small beach, and a long winding path lit with lanterns leading to its top. All of the doors are closed, and there appears to be no inhabitants or mobs in the area. Also, according to Wowpedia, there is no incentive to go here during the Worgen starting experience. So it's really just
maybe
there for aesthetic purposes, and I kind of love that.
But look, there's like a path and stuff, and the way it's made, I think they were planning to put a quest there, but that maybe there was not enough time, or for some other reasons they decided to maybe like add another quest or something, or maybe, yeah, there was some issue, so they didn't release it, right? So it was made, but then the quest was just not added or was completely cut. That could be it, because like, look, there's like a path and stuff. It does look like one of those random places. It looks like something. Maybe there was some intention to go there for like a quest. Maybe in the future we get something there. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, so during Shadowlands, when we do the unlocking the Dark Ranger, the Darkfallen skin for the Elven races, right? We actually hear about a letter that's being sent to Greymane, right? Where actually they want to quit the war, the Forsaken versus the Worgen, and Gilneas completely returns back to the Worgen, right? And I heard rumors that they're gonna do a rework, and Gilneas will become also maybe a major city, just like you have with Ironforge, for example, for the Alliance or something, right? So we will see about that. Maybe there will be NPCs, traders, a quest on this lighthouse, and maybe it's coming with the Gilneas rework once it like opens up for us. Yeah, this will be interesting, I think.
It's there for aesthetic purposes.
I have a feeling they could add
I kind of love that. I really love the lanterns, the bridges, the rails, the rocky hillside thing that the lighthouse is.
I find the Ghanese architecture
interesting.
It's like Halloweenish,
really
right?
Cool
like
lighthouse. And I'm not gonna lie, the fact that the Galewatch lighthouse is pretty much pointless outside of the fact that it's there for aesthetic purposes, I think is pretty cool. So that's why it's number 5. Number 4 is the Westfall Lighthouse, and I think this is one of the lighthouses a lot of people think of when they think of lighthouses.
Oh, I've seen it from the
just
far.
off the coast of the far southern edge of Westfall, and outside the lighthouse stands the ghostly Captain Grayson, who gives you a few quests that involve killing Murlocs along the coast. And
wait,
speaking
I think
of Captain
I remember
Grayson,
him.
he's a human ghost pirate, and he was once a pirate captain of a ship until his life was ended by the perilous rocks of Westfall's coastline because the lighthouse was not lit that night. When his life was ended, he had no clue what the afterlife held for him. He traveled as a ghostly pirate captain to the lighthouse and watched, helpless, as Old Murk-Eye led an attack and scared the keeper's family off. They returned and relit the flame, but Old Murk-Eye coerced the weaker-minded Murlocs to raid the lighthouse with him once again. The second time, the family was not so lucky, and before his eyes, they perished helplessly.
Oh, wow.
With no one to keep watch on the flame, the responsibility has fallen upon him, and his afterlife plight is to see that no others follow his destiny. So that's actually pretty sad.
Ghost.
Like, he's just here wanting no one else to get killed by the Murlocs, essentially.
He's a good ghost.
That's pretty deep lore compared to some of the other lighthouses where it's like, it's a lighthouse. It helps ships find where they're going, which isn't bad, but you know.
But one thing I don't get lore-wise, so this is like not like Westfall is right next to Stormwind, and that's also Alliance territory, but it has been completely neglected. They should send like Stormwind guards, like soldiers, and just clear the area of all Morlocks. Just get rid of them, drive them away, slaughter them, whatever, and keep this safe. Like, I think the Alliance should control this, and not a ghost should do their job, right? So yeah, there's a lack of commitment here from Stormwind. Like, it's their neighboring zone. They should do something about it.
Like, where they're going, which isn't bad, but you know, it's got a little more depth to it. So that's why it's number 4. Number 3 is the Aberdeen Lighthouse, and the Aberdeen Lighthouse is so high up here because it's one of the most unique lighthouses in the game. It's actually the only Night Elven lighthouse in the game.
I always missed this one. I never thought there was a lighthouse.
Night Elf lighthouse, and it's not even in the game anymore after Cataclysm hit. So it's
that's
pretty
why.
cool to actually be able to go back to Classic WoW and see it now, because I never even knew this existed.
I see. In Classic WoW I didn't pay attention, so I missed it, and now it's gone, so I can't find it. That's why I didn't know about this lighthouse. Now it all makes sense. Thanks for showing this, WoW Crane.
And after, you know, looking around, I was like, dude, this really is the only lighthouse like it in the game.
Yeah.
Apparently, Aberdeen has had a long history as a port. A long time ago,
oh,
a ship
we get a new worksheet, by the way.
Allura crashed on the rocks near the lighthouse, losing her shipment of Elunite ore. And the Shade of Allura is actually in Classic WoW, and it's a Night Elf ghost located in the sea near Aberdeen. And once the captain of a ship she's now cursed to roam the deeps and protect her shipment of ore at all time. But she too was removed in the Cataclysm.
So just like the Westfall version,
just destroyed
right?
her ghost, I guess.
Another good
or
ghost.
maybe everything being destroyed helped her move on. I don't know. Either way, this is one of the most unique lighthouses in the game, and that's why it's number 3. Number 2 is Tol Dagor, and Tol Dagor is a small prison island in Kul Tiras off the eastern coast of Tiragard Sound, and it's also a 5-man dungeon. It also has an amazing lighthouse. Like, look at this thing, dude. This lighthouse
it's so huge
is essentially
cannons.
just a lighthouse dungeon, which is why it's so cool. It's got cannons all over. It's just fortified, and then the actual light from the lighthouse itself is just like a sunbeam. Like, that thing is crazy. A fun fact about Tol Dagor is that much like Tol Barad, the name Tol Dagor is derived from the Quenya and Sindarin languages created by J.R.R. Tolkien for his Legendarium. Tol is Quenya and Sindarin for island, while Dagor is Sindarin for battle. Tol Dagor would thus mean the island of battle in Sindarin.
I didn't know there was Tolkien
but you're probably used to that by now. But really cool stuff. And I mean, the main point here is that this lighthouse is actually insane. This is just like a stacked, fortified lighthouse, like easily one of the biggest, baddest lighthouses around. And that's why it's number 2.
Lots of defense here.
And number 1 is the Western Watch Lighthouse in Drustvar. And Western Watch is an island in Western Drustvar. This is the exact same lighthouse that we saw in Tol Dagor. But I think there's just something about a lighthouse being out on its own little island, surrounded by nature and water and like a bunch of little things going on that really makes me enjoy it compared to being like this big...
I also like the atmosphere if you look at it, like how you have like those dead trees and those rocks and stuff like that. It gives you a bit of a spooky atmosphere as well, right?
Being like this big prison dungeon. Like, I don't know what it was, because I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to put Tol Dagor at number 1 because it's crazy. But then I was looking at both and I was like, you know what? I think I appreciate this lighthouse just a little bit more. It feels a little more naturey. It feels a little more like an actual... lighthouse. Maybe it's because it's more pointless. I think that might just be it.
It's more pointless.
Like Tol Dagor has a lot of purpose
not so many
and meaning
cannons,
to it.
only a few.
And this lighthouse is just, you know, it's not completely pointless. Like we mentioned, it's still a lighthouse. It's still directing the ships on where to go and giving them a light to see. But it's a really nice lighthouse. It's probably the best lighthouse we've had just in World of Warcraft. Like the design of the lighthouse is amazing. The little island it's on is amazing. It's one of the reasons that I still really like BFA for its music and its art, and obviously, you know, it didn't really have a lot of great gameplay mechanics and stuff like that, but I really did love the BFA art and music, and I think this lighthouse is a display of that. And so with all those things combined, that's why this lighthouse is number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode.
My number 1 is the Borean Tundra. I would have to say this one, because it has such a strong light and it's so notable, and it is right next to an actual big city. And then I would say the second one is probably the one in Westfall, and let me explain why. Because it has a very touching story with the ghost, right? And it's like kind of sad as well. It's touching and sad how this ghost is now keeping the lights on, so nobody is going to find the same fate as he did, right? So I would say number 1, the Borean Tundra, or number 2, Westfall, and then maybe... I don't know, the Night Elven one is also kind of interesting. But yeah, I would have to say for me, number 1, definitely the Borean Tundra one. Which one is your favorite lighthouse of those you saw, and why, for example? Like, let me know in the comment section. And if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. And I will see you guys next time.